Is Genshin not having a lot of male characters really that much of an issue? Like, honestly, to me, it feels kind of like if you go to a cookout, you have all the nice meals, you have all the nice food that's there. The ribs is easily the females of Genshin and, is nicely grilled up, but you're lacking some of the chicken. Like, there's a bit less chicken that's there, or just no grilled chicken whatsoever. And, it's fine, I guess, but at the very same time, you kind of notice that I guess it's not really much of a thing as you would hope it to be. That's kind of like the vibe I get from this, right? Which, again, understandably, people want to play more than just, the female character or the woman character or whatever, and just kind of go about it in that sort of way. Because, yes, you do have cool ass male hero characters that exist within, Genshin. Kazuha is easily still, like, one of my favorite ones. Nouvelle is also very much up there, being, literally chat in every which direction. Kabe is just the boy of dreams. I'll hate them as a dick ass. Like, literally, you have a lot of options that you could choose from when it comes to male characters. That is very valid for you to pick if you just want to, be around them or have them in the game. Like, literally, they are very much any valid pick that you can have here. And then basically everybody likes Venti and Dahlia for twink reasons.
Huh? Ooh.
There is a lot of people that often, get mad at Genshin because they don't introduce a lot more male characters and they have like a shit ton of female characters than they do with, the opposite side. And to keep it very much a stack, I don't really see this as a giant problem. I mean, let's just be real here. Gacha games, and really just anime in general, has always sort of favored the female characters way more to do more of the selling. Like, don't get me wrong, yes, a male character can very much sell. They can be looking badass and cool and all that sort of jazz, and no one's gonna sit here and deny that. But at the very same time, you also gotta realize, the target audience that you're trying to sell this gacha game to. And oftentimes, it's usually going to be anime fans that very much is here to see pretty ass ladies. And to keep it very much a fact, Genshin got that in spades. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Last night, I was watching through some of the old Genshin, like, demos, and I'm not gonna lie, I forgot how beautiful Eula actually looks and how kind of cool she is too, no pun intended. And then I forgot someone like Yelan, who has that mommy energy that we hardly ever really get to see within the story ever, only for them to just recently bring her back with the Stygian Onslaught, and oh boy, she's not voiced, gosh dang it. And somebody like even Rosaria, which to this day I still feel like should be a 5-star instead of a 4, but we won't leave that alone, honestly. But I think you get the idea. They sell and they very much, push those characters out because, again, look at the pretty lady or look at the cute girl or something like that, essentially. And when it comes down to it, especially more so nowadays, it's very much like, yeah, this is what more so a lot of people would genuinely care about. Right, and again, that's not necessarily to say that the guys can't sell either, because Nouvelle came out, people were hounding for him for days, and literally still people to this day will hound for this character, because why not? He basically blasts you into oblivion, into a different stratosphere, and somehow you end up in a different Hoyoverse game. That is just how Nouvelle is, and that's how he rolls, honestly. But at the very same time, again, it's not often we get, those male characters. But at the very same time, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, the way Hoyoverse is doing this is bad. They don't need to do this shit right now. They need to do this better and change up how it's done. But in reality, I think the way they've been going about it is at least kind of fine for the most part. I feel like they balance it enough where it's like, it's not a lot of male characters to choose from to a point, but at the very same time, I do feel like it's also like, well, we balance it out by, kind of putting a male character here, wait a few patches, doing another one here, and then maybe put 2 over here or so, and then kind of let it rock out for a little while until you repeat the cycle again. So I feel like they kind of balance it out a lot, where it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm tired of seeing a lot of these male characters or anything like that. And it kind of makes you feel like, damn, we get another one? That's kind of crazy. It's been a minute, but it's nice to see. And it always feels welcome to see one, though. And hell, when we get to Not Cry, it's probably going to be the same case. If not, I feel like we might even get maybe, I don't know, 2. I'd argue at maybe like the maximum a not cry because I obviously we're gonna get Varka because Varka's probably gonna be like the first damn character we get on a banner, I would assume. And then there's probably gonna be somebody else that's just existing in Nod Cry that lives there that probably is gonna, be a male character too. And that's just how that goes. And it wouldn't surprise me if that's the case, because literally everybody else is pretty much stacked of characters that we already have an idea that could pop up there, maybe. And that's just kind of how that is, because Alice is most likely gonna pop up. We have Columbina. We have like probably another person of the Hexen Circle that could pop up there. One of the shades, maybe Istroff could pop up there. Not Renova just yet, but maybe Istroff, and see how that kind of go. But still, regardless, there's always going to be that demand of, we need more hot ass women over here because we can. We need more hot ladies to dominate the field because that's just how we sell these games. And again, that's kind of how all gacha games have been selling their stuff. Outside the ones that's like very specific to, the female audience, where you get to see hot men with their abs and all that sort of stuff, looking like a bunch of Friezas that be ready to grind meat on Goku's ass for whatever reasons, because that's just how it is. Now, for me personally, when it comes down to, pulling a male character or a female character, I feel like a giant reason as to why I would pull for somebody is either A, if the design looks good, and B, if the story is very much there. Because the reason why I wanted to get someone like, Nouvelle was very much because, oh shit, he seems pretty damn important and powerful. Also, to add a point C, his playstyle is pretty much unique. He blasts you with a water ass Kamehameha. I'm kind of here for it, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, of course I wanted somebody like Nouvelle. He looks cool, sounds cool, and obviously if you know the VA, yeah, duh. So it's not really all that surprising. Somebody like Ito as well, I don't have him, but he's a cornball, but he's also a really good cornball, if we're gonna be honest. Kazuha literally rizzes up everybody that he meets. That's why he gets so many hoes around him, right? Do we need to remind ourselves about what happened back in the whole summer event with Kazuha, Official, Mona, and all of them when it came through things? Because I ain't gonna lie, this man has so much game he was spinning that. It was just like he was just the main character of the entire damn event. That's what it felt like to me. And really the reason for Vinci, if I had to add him to this conversation, there's a few reasons. One, his verse was absolutely good and still kind of can be good if you, using him on smaller enemies and all that sort of stuff. Two, Vinci confuses people a lot. Like, there's many times people thought Vinci is a woman, and technically Archons can't change their gender, so I guess, but still, that's not the case, and still plenty of people will probably want to pound Vinci. Like, that just kind of how it is, though. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Hell, if I'm gonna be real, I feel like the main fair reason as to why Vinci probably is even in the game, design wise, at least from me and my roster, would probably just because he looks feminine. That's probably about it. And the fact that Archons can change their genders in some shape and form, kind of need to take Vinci to Pound Town, kind of need to do something like that. But that just leans more into the female element of things, so it is what it is. But still, regardless though, I really don't think this is that big of a deal as people make it out to be, because in reality, I feel like as long as the character is, written very well, and as long as the character looks good and plays well, I don't really see why you would really sit here and have a giant issue, right? As long as it's a character that you care for and, it does what you want it to do, it's kind of like a whatever sort of thing. And honestly, this could kind of fit for literally any character in the game, right? Whether you want to go for that character or maybe not want to go for that character. Of course, I like someone like Chevreuse and, very much wanted them for a long period of time, even though their kit, their playstyle, maybe not the best thing in the world outside of, shooting a musket at people, because why the hell not? But still, it's very much a character that, I like, and honestly doesn't have really that much of a lore importance, but still a character I very much like to F with and would like to F. Just gonna keep it very much a stat. Feel the same way about Xinyan. Xinyan has the worst damn kit in the entire effing game, and it's sad, it sucks, and they really should have did something with Xinyan more than what they had. But at the very same time, I'll occasionally bust her out every blue moon just because I still like the character. I still think she's good, and honestly, again, she's kind of bad. not enough dark skin like in this game, which is a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. And really, that's just a tan because that's not really Xinyan's actual skin color. But we're gonna move on from that subject. But then there's sometimes where I don't resonate with, you know, a female character, like Shilonen. I know Shilonen's busted in her kit. I know she's, you know, a shredder like crazy.
1, 2, 3, all turtles. There's no one better. Watch out for Shredder.
Like she makes the damn, you know, turtles be scared when it comes down to how much she shreds elemental powers and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, I don't care for her character. I don't. I only just started caring about it like at the end of that whole quest with the Sorin that we had to help with the whole pure form of Phlogiston and whatever, with her going kind of crazy after Malika about fixing her bike like it's some nonsensical timing. Like, it is what it is. But that's the only time I liked Shilonen. Outside of that, I didn't really care. Even her whole ass quest of her crazy ass relative being on some weird timing with some kid or whatever, like, I still didn't care then. Like, I kind of cared more about, you know, the people around the quest than I did Shilonen. And that's just kind of how it is. Maybe she was designed a bit differently. Maybe I'd care. Maybe if her voice direction was a bit more, I don't know, the way it's usually supposed to sound, maybe I would care a bit more then. I don't really know. All I know is I just don't have a high value or interest into pulling Shilonen whatsoever. The same way I feel about Chiori, and the same way I can say about a lot of other characters that exist within the game for very different reasons. But you get the main point. There is always going to be, you know, a lack when it comes down to male characters. Or at least it's always going to feel like there is that lack, and there's not going to be as many of them as the female cast. But at the very same time, it also feels like, too, it comes down to, at least on the consumer level, it comes down to what that character do for you, what that mouth do, and what that character do. Because if it's doing something for you story-wise, you're gonna pull. If it's doing something for you kit-wise, it's gonna pull. If you just design and you like how they look, it's a pull, right? And at the end of the day, I feel like that's the thing that matters more than actually what gender you're pulling for the character. At least to me, that's what I feel like is like the main thing that we should really be looking at, or that actually matters to majority of people, even like the casual people, is that, hey, if this character is doing all the stuff that hits levels for me, then I am here for it, right? That's just ultimately how it is. Like, for me personally, when it comes to like characters in Nakai that we're gonna see, I don't really care that much for Varka. I'll be honest, I don't really care too much for him. You know, and to keep very much that, there's also like characters that's like probably more busted than he's gonna be lore wise too. So, you know, that's just kind of how it is. And then at the very same time, I'll easily care for somebody like Columbina for like the longest of time since we saw her, because of course I would. Why the hell wouldn't I? I stand that Colomina nation. It is what it is. That's been the nation for a good long time. Arlecchino was a nice surprise, but we out here representing the Angel Queen. That is just how it is, and that's just how I've been feeling for literally since the beginning of time, since we seen her character design for the first time. That is just how it is. I don't care how scary she is. I don't care if she looks at people and literally death happens. It doesn't necessarily matter to me. She's still getting in my damn game. That's just all there is to it. And literally any other character that's like important, or any character that's like, you know, worth a damn that I care about, then yes, they're also gonna get in the game, because that's literally what I'm here for. And same thing for the male side. If there's a character that comes up cold as hell with a nice ass like way of how they go about things and I resonate with that, then I'll pull for them. Even if it's Varka and he has somehow some drip, I'll go ahead and pull for Varka, because that's cool. But again, it just comes down to just whether you like it or not, and that's just kind of what it is. So I don't really think the situation is nearly as deep as people try to make it out to be. It's just more so, do you want to pull for this character or do you not? And while yes, you could have some more male characters in the game and, you know, to be existing, at the end of the day, if you're getting what you kind of want, and if it's not necessarily anything that's, you know, overly a desperate feel that you need to care about, does it really matter what gender the characters are? To me, it really doesn't. But that's what I really wanted to say for this one. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also on my socials. And if you like to donate to the channel, go follow Cash App as well. And until then, boy Jay, signed off. Have a blessed day.